A group of friends took a detour, and horror history was born. Wrong Turn wasn't your typical slasher flick. No ghost, no curse, just pure, primal terror lurking deep in the woods. When it hit theaters in 2003, audiences weren't ready for what they saw. Backwoods mutants, brutal traps, and a survival story so raw, it redefined fear for a new generation. The screams were real, the tension relentless, and the cast? A mix of rising stars who had no idea this bloody nightmare would follow them for decades. But what happened after the screams stopped? Fame, fallout, reinvention, and a few shocking turns of their own. Let's find out what became of the Wrong Turn cast, then versus now, 2025. Let's start with our fearless final girl, Eliza Dushku, who played Jessie Burlingame, the woman who outsmarted the monsters of West Virginia's woods. In 2003, Eliza was already on fire, a breakout star from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, with that unmistakable mix of confidence, attitude, and vulnerability. She was Hollywood's it girl of the early 2000s, edgy, beautiful, and fierce. Her role in Wrong Turn cemented her as a horror queen, proving she could headline a major thriller and hold her own against both blood and bad guys. But behind that strength, Eliza's life took some dark turns of its own. After a string of hit TV shows like True Calling and Dollhouse, she shocked fans by stepping back from Hollywood. In 2017, she came forward with powerful allegations against a producer from True Lies, speaking openly about sexual misconduct and industry silence. It was a moment that shifted the conversation in Hollywood, and Eliza became an advocate for survivors everywhere. Fast forward to 2025, and Eliza is thriving again, not in front of the camera, but behind it. She's a mom, a producer, and a mental health advocate, using her voice for change. And though she may have left horror behind, her legacy as one of the genre's smartest and toughest heroines still stands strong. Now, let's talk about the rugged, everyman hero, Desmond Harrington, who played Chris Flynn, the guy who takes the wrong turn and drives straight into terror. In 2003, Desmond was climbing fast. With his striking looks and quiet intensity, he had all the makings of a leading man. Wrong Turn gave him the chance to show off both his action chops and emotional depth, and audiences noticed. Afterward, his career took a fascinating path. He traded horror for high drama, joining Dexter as Detective Joey Quinn, a role that made him a household name for years. But fame didn't come easy. Insiders whispered about struggles with exhaustion, personal battles, and sudden weight loss that sparked fan concern. Desmond stayed mostly silent, preferring to let his work do the talking. By 2025, he's taken a quieter route, focusing on independent projects and stepping behind the camera to produce. Fans still recognize him instantly, that brooding stare, that voice. But he's made peace with life outside the chaos of mainstream Hollywood. A true survivor, both on and off screen. Next up, let's remember the flirty and fearless to the movie's most heartbreaking loss, Emmanuelle Chriqui, who played Carly. In 2003, Emmanuelle was Hollywood's rising sweetheart. With her warm smile and magnetic energy, she was a fan favorite in shows like Entourage and The O.C., and Wrong Turn gave her the chance to step into a darker, more dramatic role. Her career after the film took off in a big way. She became a fixture on television, voicing characters in animation, Thundercats, Superman and Lois, and starring in everything from romantic comedies to psychological thrillers. But her personal life has been refreshingly drama-free, a rarity in Hollywood. She's been outspoken about wellness, self-acceptance, and staying authentic in an industry obsessed with image. By 2025, Emmanuelle Chriqui is one of those rare actresses who aged gracefully into stability, still acting, still glowing, and still one of Hollywood's most genuine souls. And now, let's remember the charismatic bad boy, Jeremy Sisto, who played Scott, the tough guy with a heart who didn't make it out alive. Before Wrong Turn, Jeremy was already a recognizable face. From Clueless to 6 Feet Under, he'd built a reputation for playing complex, often unpredictable characters. In Wrong Turn, his mix of bravado and vulnerability made Scott one of the film's most human moments, and fans still remember that gut-wrenching scene. After the movie, Sisto's career flourished. He became a television regular, starring in Suburgatory, Law & Order, and FBI. While others chased fame, Jeremy chased versatility, and it paid off. Off-screen, he's been quietly grounded, a devoted husband, father, and advocate for mental health. In 2025, at 50, he's respected not just for his talent, but for his humility. In an industry full of noise, Jeremy Sisto found peace. And that's a rare kind of success.
Then there's Kevin Zegers, who played Evan, the thrill-seeking friend who didn't last long, but made an impact nonetheless. At just 18, Kevin was already a veteran of the screen, having appeared in Air Bud and Dawn of the Dead. Wrong Turn marked his graduation from child star to serious actor. The years that followed were a roller coaster. Kevin went on to star in Transamerica, Gossip Girl, and Fear the Walking Dead. But like many who grew up in the spotlight, he struggled with burnout and the pressures of fame. In interviews, Kevin has been candid about his battles with anxiety and the importance of stepping away to heal. By 2025, he's returned to the screen with newfound purpose, choosing passion projects over paychecks. Mature, reflective, and stronger than ever, Kevin Zegers' evolution mirrors the same resilience that made Wrong Turn unforgettable. And we can't talk about Wrong Turn without mentioning Lindy Booth, who played Francine, one of the early victims, and the heart of the group before everything went downhill. Lindy was just breaking into Hollywood at the time. Her mix of innocence and warmth made her death scene one of the film's most shocking moments. After Wrong Turn, Lindy became a genre favorite, appearing in Cry Wolf, The Librarians, and Kick-Ass 2. But behind the scenes, she dealt with the same challenges so many actors face: long breaks between roles, creative frustration, and the struggle to balance fame with real life. In 2025, Lindy's still acting, mostly in television and Canadian productions, and is admired by fans for staying grounded. While she never chased superstardom, she earned something rarer: longevity and respect. And finally, we can't forget the terrifying forces that made Wrong Turn legendary: the cannibalistic mountain men. Played by veteran stunt performers and character actors like Julian Richings, Gary Robbins, and Ted Clark, these grotesque villains gave nightmares a face. Richings, in particular, went on to cult fame with roles in Supernatural, The Umbrella Academy, and The Witch. His eerie physicality and haunting expressions made him a horror icon. Robbins, who played the hulking Sawtooth, sadly passed away in 2013, remembered by fans and co-stars as one of the kindest souls to ever play a monster. Even decades later, horror fans still credit Wrong Turn's villains for setting a new bar in practical horror effects and reminding us that sometimes the scariest monsters are the most human. 2 decades later, Wrong Turn 2003 remains one of horror's most underrated cult classics, a brutal, unflinching masterpiece that helped redefine survival horror for the 21st century. Eliza Dushku, the fearless survivor who turned pain into purpose. Desmond Harrington, the leading man who found his way through the darkness. Emmanuelle Chriqui, the heart of the film who's still winning hearts today. And Jeremy Sisto, the everyman who found peace in an industry built on chaos. Their careers, much like the film itself, are stories of resilience, reinvention, and survival. So, tell me, whose transformation surprised you the most? Was it Eliza's inspiring comeback, Desmond's quiet evolution, or Kevin Zegers' emotional rebirth? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell for more Hollywood then and now stories. Because in this town, survival isn't luck, it's instinct.